Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Russell Matthews here, and I'm back with another Canadian benefit update for you. And lately we've had some updates to some ongoing stories that we've been covering here on the channel for the past little while, including things like a new benefit opening up, the Prime Minister responding to loopholes in old benefits, a little bit of an update when it comes to the CERB repayment issue, among other things. So make sure you stay tuned all the way until the end of the video because we're going to be covering multiple topics which may or may not apply to you. First, let's talk about the expansion of a previously existing benefit called the Support for Learners benefit. This funding was created by the Ontario provincial government, and it was originally intended to give everybody who has a child up to the age of 12 $200 to help them with their online learning struggles. In general, people could get $200 per child under the age of 12, but this sort of upset a lot of people because they realized, hey, you know what? Raising a child doesn't end at 12, and actually it can get more expensive in a lot of cases as people go on through high school, which is why they've now expanded the benefit to go to anybody all the way up until grade 12 in the education system. So applications for this newly expanded benefit are open as of today, and this benefit will be able to be applied for all the way up until February 8th. So if you have a child who's in the education system all the way up until grade 12, you can apply for this benefit for every single child you have, and it's all through the same link now, which you can find in the description. Next up, we finally got a response from the Prime Minister when it comes to the loopholes that are included in the Canada Recovery Sickness benefit. If you're not familiar with that situation, here's a quick update. It was recently revealed that people who were claiming the CRSB might not be doing so for the right reasons. It was recently discovered that people were able to leave the country for non-work related or non-essential reasons, like a vacation. They could go and leave the country and then come right back in and then have 2 weeks of sick pay via the CRSB given to them even though they left for non-essential reasons. Of course, this obviously upset a lot of people who feel like they've been sort of carrying the burden throughout the entirety of the pandemic, staying home and following all these health guidelines, while some people are out going on vacations to Mexico, coming back and essentially getting financially rewarded by the government for doing so. Let's take a look at what the Prime Minister had to say about this.
Let me also be very clear about the Canada Recovery Sickness benefit. It is not intended for travelers who are quarantining when they return from holiday. This program was created to give people sick leave if they needed it and otherwise wouldn't have one from their employer. It's not there to pay for someone's post-vacation quarantine. We'll have more details soon, but anyone who traveled for non-essential reasons will not be able to access the sickness benefit. We need to continue to do our very, very best in supporting them. That's why I was disappointed to find of two of our caucus members who traveled and why there were consequences in them resigning from their committee roles. And that's why all Canadians were so disappointed to see so many examples of folks who should have known better doing things that put us all at risk.
Okay, so he's pretty clear in saying that this benefit is not meant for that use, which is pretty obvious, and he says that that loophole is going to be closed. But with that being said, critics have responded to this very statement saying, hey, you know what, you've said this, but have you actually done anything to close it? It's sort of just left as it is right now, and it likely will be until the House of Commons is able to sit and change the actual bill that brought in the CRB and CRSB, which actually serves as a great segue into our next topic, which is the repayment of CERB benefits. If you'll remember the story, tons of people received these things the CRA called education letters, telling them, hey, we can't verify that you made $5,000 in net income last year, so you're going to have to pay us back $14,000, the entirety of the CERB benefit that they received. If you want a full update on this topic, check out the link in the description of this video for the full video on this issue. But as a quick update, essentially at this point, the CRA has admitted that for a time they were giving out false information regarding who was eligible for the CERB. This was amid concerns and complaints from all the people who received these letters saying, hey, you know what, I was given this benefit at the outset to help me survive, and now you're asking for it back, but I already spent it, so how am I supposed to come up with $14,000 potentially? But despite this admission from the CRA that they were falsely leading people into this program who weren't eligible under their own criteria, we haven't seen any changes to these requests for repayment. It seems like the pressure on government officials to talk about and cover this issue has definitely decreased, and it's likely because everyone's concerned about vaccines and the slow rollout and all of the news that's constantly cycling. But this issue is yet to be resolved, and we still don't have any changes to the guidelines on who is required to pay back potentially $14,000 of money they don't have. However, an official petition to the House of Commons has been created and has been gaining more and more signatures over the past while, and it was actually picked up by this member of Parliament, Paul Manley, so it has some credibility behind it, and its signatures are going to close on January 23rd, so if it's something you're passionate about or want to contribute to, there's a link down there in the description to this exact petition. And that leads us to our final benefit-related topic that we're going to talk about today, and that is the mismanagement, in some people's eyes, of the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. After reviewing the new database, which shows which companies received the CEWS, or the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, the Globe and Mail actually found out that many foreign airlines received this benefit, which would be okay if it wasn't for the fact that they also received huge bailouts from their home countries. And this list of airlines that have received this CEWS program from the Canadian government includes 3 state-owned Chinese airlines, so airlines that are entirely owned by the Chinese government. It seems that we are subsidizing here in Canada with Canadian taxpayer dollars. And this discovery comes at the exact same time that we're seeing headlines like this, such as WestJet cutting jobs and slashing flight capacity by 1/3, essentially eliminating 1,000 full-time jobs from a Canadian company. Of course, Canadian-owned and operated airlines are upset about this. They were able to receive the CEWS as well, but they haven't received any sort of targeted bailout from the federal government. Of course, the federal government is telling them, hey, we're not going to give you any money until you start returning refunds for flights that were canceled from the original pandemic. So it's just such a big mess right now, but it does seem like some money was doled out in maybe not the best way. And I'm curious, what do you think about this situation? Not only the situation with the airlines, but all of the things that we've covered today. Whatever you think about it, let me know down in the comments. I read every single comment and I try to reply to as many as I possibly can, and I use it as a way to sort of gauge what you're interested in and what you want to talk more about here on the channel. So if you want your voice to be heard, drop a comment down there. And if you haven't already done so, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I'm constantly coming out with information that is important to Canadians. And if you really like the video, I'd love for you to share it with somebody who could benefit from this information. And with all of that said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope the video helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time.